Test, test. One, two, three. The levels do be leveling. Well, I guess this is the time to say hi to the early folks. I'm not quite ready yet. But hey, uh, I forgot. I usually say something really silly, right? But nothing's coming to my head. I have no thoughts. I usually say something about pistachios too. So here's your fun fact. I've never had a pistachio. I just like saying the word pistachio. That was pistachio in a bad Italian accent. I hope you enjoyed it. Hey everybody. Hey, I'm big today. I don't know. I know it's the meta to be like big so people can like enjoy the model and stuff. I don't know. Just with the background I have, it didn't seem quite right. You know what? You know what? I can fix that too. Can I fix that? Actually thinking. Hmm. Can I? Can I fix this? Because I was just gonna make big boy jokes for a little bit, but now I'm thinking I could do some hot fixing. Let's do some hot fixing. Let's do some hot fixing here. Okay. Right. Let's see. 1080, so it should be about. Nope, not 3000. 300's a good start. Okay. It's actually closer to 500. 500's almost exactly right. We'll go with that. Nope, not like that. There we go. That's the button I kind of wanted. Here, we'll bring it out to the edge here. We're fixing it. Don't worry. I know exactly what I'm doing. Maybe. Maybe I know what I'm doing. Okay. Nope, stop that, please. My mouse. Here's something for me to complain about while I'm doing this. Nope, that didn't work. Okay. Forget it. Forget it. All right, we're back. My mouse. My mouse is doing this thing where it will randomly double click when I click something. So like one click will register as 2 clicks. And you would not believe how much that breaks. You would not believe that. It breaks so much stuff, it's ridiculous. Because almost everything has a double click function. So almost everything breaks all the time. It's really quite fascinating how reliant we are on double clicking. I almost want to do like a video essay about double clicking, because it's such an intuitive thing and we misuse it so much. Right? There's so many things that do not need double click potential and still have it. And it's killing me, because my mouse is killing me. But yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope everyone's had a great couple of weeks there. Finally off of the big work project. We got it done. It went well. People think I'm good at things, which is a terrible move on their part, right? I mean, y'all just saw me trying to mess with the background. I'm not good at things. I'm not good at things. Case in point, chat is broken. There you go, chat. Now you're back to normal. Oh, gosh. But yeah, so now people think I'm good at things, which is great for me. Honestly, a mood. Really dumb on their parts, but hey, I'm not going to correct them. I do not want to correct people. No, sirree. I am not in the business of corrections. I'm not a bounty hunter. You guys know that's a thing? Bounty hunters are a thing. Kinda crazy. But yeah, so the big work thing was a conference that we were doing, and we had a booth to set up and all this stuff. So it was very fun. I can't tell you what conference. Thankfully, I checked, and there's like 100 going on in the United States at any given time. So as long as I don't get too specific, you guys will still be very confused about what my job is, and that's fine by me. But it was this big conference, and we had a booth, and it was very good. Made a lot of good contacts, you know? Brushed shoulders. You know what I noticed? You know what I've noticed about... I've done a couple of these conventions before. And what I've noticed, right? Because it's like a business convention. There's no kids running around or anything. Very different atmosphere if it's like a convention for young people or for like fans of something. Very different atmosphere from an actual work or business convention where everyone's just trying to sell each other stuff. Because that's what it is, right? Everyone's trying to sell each other stuff. I noticed something. A lot of people would bring like people who really shouldn't have been there. Like people who didn't know anything about their sales, people who didn't really understand their business model. But they always brought, like, everybody had at the convention 2 or 3 cute people. 2 or 3 cute people who would just make them look good. Even if they had no understanding of what was going on, they were cute, and so it worked. And this was not a female-only thing, but it was very heavily female. Do with that information what you will. I'm just making an observation. And it was very interesting because we didn't bring any cute people. We brought me, who is not cute, and a couple of other people who are very, very knowledgeable about our field. We brought in our heavy hitters because we figured, that would be the best way to make a good impression. And it was, people thought we were very knowledgeable and stuff because we were, which was good. It gave people a good impression. But so many people just brought like parts of their team who were like new hires or things like that who really didn't know what was going on, but they were attractive. And I'll be honest with you. I will be honest with you. They got me every single time. I'm a sucker for attractive people. I am a sucker for that tactic. It works, man. It works. I like attractive people. What I guess I'm saying is, I need to become more attractive so I can continue to go to these conventions. Oh, man. Oh, but it was really fun. It was really cool. I've heard a lot of things happening in the world in the last 2 weeks that I just didn't have time to put any real notice of myself on. Like, I didn't have time to check these things out, so I was... A lot of this morning is me catching up with the news and stuff. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this topic of conversation, but it really is nice to just not look at the news for a couple weeks. Just not at all, really. Didn't have time for it. And it did help my mental a lot. My mental is, at least until this morning, was very good. And then I caught up on the news because it's part of my job to be up to date on this stuff. Yeah. Mental's back to normal. But it was fun. A good work trip. I can't mention the city. Because unfortunately there was only a couple of conventions going on at the same time in the city. And so it does narrow it down very heavily. I also can't mention the more famous people that were there, because that also narrows it down. What can I talk to you guys about, other than the attractive people? Oh, I spent several hours conversing with an old Jewish jewelsmith about the proper way to translate Hebrew. That was fun. Because I study Hebrew for fun. And this guy, is natively Jewish. And he was just like, okay, yeah, I don't know what they're teaching you, but pretty much everything you just said is wrong. Here, let's look at words. So we just looked at words for a couple hours. It's probably the most metal thing I did last week, to be perfectly honest with you. It's probably the coolest thing I did, was just conjugate Hebrew for a couple hours with an old jewelsmith. Yeah, he was great. What else is there that I can talk about? Oh, saw a couple of movies. Like the test screening kind of things where you fill out a little thing at the end. Saw a couple of those. Very fun. Nothing I'm allowed to talk about. They make you sign NDAs on all of them. But movies, they're doing good stuff. I don't know what else. I don't think I can say much more than movies. I like what they're doing over there. Oh, man. What else was there? It's such a long week. A lot of it's flown out of my head. Oh gosh. Lot of walking. My calves are like pure rods of iron right now. Because they're still cramping. Oh man, I'm in the chair because I can't walk today, people. That's why. What else was there? I feel like there's a lot of really neat stories and a lot of really cool people I got to meet and talk to about like really in-depth things, but I can't really tell you about any of them because all of their names are Googleable. Not saying they're famous, just Googleable. Oh gosh. So I'll give you a little bit of insight, right? It's not really a secret that I work in some form of, how do I say that? How do I want to say this? I should say, some form of, let's call it news. Let's just call it news. It's not really a secret that I work in some form of news or information delivery systems. So I got to talk to, people who are much older than me and thus much wiser than me about those things. And it was very interesting and very fun. And basically none of them like where the industry is going. Because it's, a lot of AI stuff is happening, for better or for worse. It's making it a lot easier to put out a lot of material at one time, but it also is taking a lot of the, how should I say this? It's taking a lot of the uniqueness out of the material, because when it's so easy to make so much material, it really means that there are no limits on a company from dabbling in a little bit of everything, right? So like in the past, we had sports magazines because sports is such a big field that you had to be like devoted to just covering sports. But with the AI now that can write up an article off of a fact sheet you give it very quickly, it's not entirely necessary to have a dedicated sports magazine anymore. It is if you want to be good at things, but it's not if you don't care. If all you care about is putting up so much content that you get all of the traffic online, you can dabble in everything now, which is a little bit bad. It does mean we're a lot of what AI is doing, at least kind of in the newsosphere, from the people I've talked to and the conversations I've had this last week, it's taking away a need for specialization. And when you take away a need for specialization, you come out to this place where everybody's a little good at something, but no one is a master of anything, which means it's a lot easier for certain people to have the wool pulled over their eyes. Like you take investigative reporting, for example. In investigative reporting, you kind of have to have a nose for when someone is lying to you. CoffeeZilla, actually, on his Extrazilla channel, I think it was Extrazilla, he talked about this a little bit. There were some known scam artists who got a very long, in-depth, very warm interview. And the guy who was interviewing him just didn't have a nose to know when the scammer was lying to him. So he just let him get away with a bunch of stuff he really shouldn't have. Well, that's going to keep happening as people who haven't been trained to be investigative reporters keep dipping their toes into that field because they have so much more time to because of AI. And because they can do it faster and get the traffic fast, there is a much lower emphasis on getting the facts right, because it doesn't really matter if you get the facts right. You can go back and amend it later if you have to, but if you don't get it up first, you lose the traffic, and that's actually going to hurt you more than getting things wrong. It's a weird place for the media industry. It's a very odd place. But yeah, it's a good week all in all. Stayed in a nice hotel, not too nice. It's not like my boss was wasting money on me. But it was nice, Had a little balcony kind of a thing going on. It was nice. Didn't go to any of like the industry parties. I kept meaning to go to the industry parties, but when I started thinking about it, I was like, well, I've been talking to people all day and I've been in meetings all day, And then the industry party is just a chance for me to talk to those same people again. And everyone's going to pretend they're not there to do business, but really everyone's still doing business at the party because that's the point of the conference. So do I really want to go? Like, if everyone was actually letting loose, I would probably go. But no one's, everyone's still working, right? That's the thing. Everyone's still working at these things. No one stops working for the whole week because everyone feels like, well, my boss is paying thousands of dollars for me to be here. I need to get that money's worth, or he's not going to let me do this next year, especially with the economy the way it is. So I really need to be working the whole time. So even at the after dinner parties, people are still working, is what it turned into. So I ended up not going to any of them because I had worked all day. And I didn't want to keep talking about things that would depress me. Because, like, when you have those big meta conversations about where an industry is heading, especially with an economic downturn upcoming, which everyone there agreed is coming, it gets very depressing very fast because it turns from what you would like to do into what's the best strategy for weathering this storm we can all see is very obviously coming. Instead of talking about the fancy new gizmos, you start talking about what's the best material to put in a sandbag to make sure the floodwaters don't hit your house. Which is a little bit of a depressing topic. When you're actively having to, like, it's kind of an interesting topic when things are good and you can look at it from a purely hypothetical sense, but when you're having to look at it as, oh, the waters are coming right now, it can get a little depressing. So I ended up not going to any parties. I stayed in my hotel and I read books. There's this wonderful book I got for Christmas. It's an autobiography on Walt Disney that I've been enjoying a lot. I haven't come to any decisions about the man yet, though. So I'm holding my further comments until I finish the book, because there's a lot to know about Walt. There's a lot to know. But I spent most of my off time in my hotel reading, so at least I stayed on brand. But yeah, it was a really good week. What about you guys? What did I miss? What's the big things I need to be aware of? Tell me what I should know. And I will talk about those things. Oh, something a friend told me about earlier is Yu-Gi-Oh! The company has unveiled that they're working on a full VR game with Duel Links as the back for it. So I'm assuming it's still 3-on-3 simplified rules. But for a VR game, that actually sounds fantastic. And they showed a demo of it at this big anniversary event they were doing. It was amazing. Like, the demo of it, they had whoever was wearing the helmet was really overacting the demo, because that's what they do, you overact the demo. But the actual, like, graphics and stuff you got to see were fan-flippin-tastic. It looks great in VR. But it's just a demo. It's just a working title at this point. They haven't released anything to the public yet, unfortunately. But I am excited for that. I actually love Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. It's just impossible to play nowadays because of the OTK meta. For those of you who are not initiated, Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays revolves around one-turn kills, where with an ideal hand, you can finish the game before your opponent gets to put down a card. That is just awful gameplay. There's nothing good about it. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! When it's not that, because it is actually a very interesting game with a lot of different effects, and great card archetypes that are very fun. Everything has a slightly different engine for you to play with, but the current meta, and they're not trying to fix it, right? The current meta exists in the state it exists because Wizards of the Coast wants it there. I would love to play more Yu-Gi-Oh! I would love to do some Yu-Gi-Oh! On stream. But I just can't deal with the OTK, and Duel Links is just such a shallow experience that I can't enjoy it either. I want more of the full game. I would love a format. I've talked about this on Twitter a couple times. I would love a Yu-Gi-Oh! Format where the format is one of each card, one of each name, and that's it. You can't carry multiples because so many engines, especially OTK engines, get destroyed when you can't carry multiples that have the same name. You could rebuild some of those engines under this rule set where it's just regular rules, but you can only have one copy of every card. Every card is limited. You could rebuild some engines, but it would have to be in very creative ways to where you're actually having to think about it, and I don't think an OTK would even be possible under that rule set, much less likely. Even if it was still technically possible, removing the likelihood of it actually means you get to play the game, right? I would play so much Yu-Gi-Oh! If the official games had, the video games, had that format that you could opt into where everything's limited. I would play so much. Because there would be so many interesting synergies between so what I envision it would be, and maybe I'm completely off base, but what I envision it would be kind of like tying engine blocks together, but like a half engine block and a half engine block, or maybe a half and 2/4, where you're finding the interesting synergies across these cards that have been released over the last 25 years, something like that. And you're trying to rebuild the engine, and there's a lot more downside to getting it wrong and a lot more upside to getting it right. Because if you do get it right, you have a working engine in this format. And if you get it wrong, then you're going to stall pretty hard. But the thing is, it's such a daunting task that I think most people wouldn't be able to do it very well. So you would have a pretty interesting meta. And the engines that did come out of this meta, you could look at them and you could fine-tune the limited set from there, to where if there's still something that can somehow reliably OTK in this meta, you can just address what's driving that engine and get rid of it. I think that would be really fun. I kind of want to do a tournament one of these days. I kind of want to cast a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament with that rule set, one limited rule set, and just see what comes out, you know? Oh, the captions are so far behind. Come on, little guy, you can do it. I believe in you. Okay, it's caught up. Oh, man. But yeah, I'd love to do a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament at some point. I think that would be really interesting and really neat. I wouldn't cast it myself because I don't know enough about the game, especially in a format that would bring out weird, obscure cards. I just don't know enough about the game to cast like that. But I would, compete. I think that would be really fun. Because, like, off the top of my head, my favorite engine is Dracula. The Dracula engine. Ah, captions, you got it the first time, you didn't get the second. But Dracula actually can still work on a limited one set. I've tinkered with it before. but you would need something else to come in and act as a backup engine, because otherwise you also have a high likelihood of stalling out very fast. So it would introduce some really interesting gameplay, and I'm not knowledgeable enough about all of the cards to know what would be helpful and wouldn't be. I know what effects would be helpful and wouldn't be. But you know, if someone played a really obscure card, I wouldn't know what it was. So that would be fun. I also kind of want to get into like some scam baiting content. I know I've talked about this before. I love scam baiting content. It's just really fun to me, and there's some personal reasons why it's fun to me. Specifically, my grandfather. I won't go into the whole spiel. But it is very enjoyable for me, and it's relatively safe. You know, like doing To Catch a Predator, also very enjoyable for me. I would have the time of my life catching pedophiles, but pretty dangerous. That wouldn't be very safe. But scam baiting is relatively safe compared to that, and it can get really funny, but also it's just a bit of karmic justice, cosmic justice kind of a thing that I really savor. I just love it. I can really sink my teeth into it and just, you know, shake it until it's dead. That's a bit more graphic than I meant to be, but you guys get the idea. I hate those losers. So, you know, wasting their time, maybe even, you know, going as far as some of the big guys, and being able to help people would be excellent. The problem is it is a type of content that is all consuming. Like, if you start making scam baiting content, in order to do really well with it, you do have to kind of ignore every other kind of content, because you got to be on the line with these guys every single day, or they just get disinterested in you. They don't want to talk to you anymore. So it does kind of insist that it is the only thing you're doing. And that's a little bit rough. You know, I like it. I wouldn't want to do it exclusively all day, every day. I think theoretically I could do like one a week and get away with that. But I don't know if I could consistently, you know? Like, I've got an old Text Now account sitting around here somewhere because I'll like to do it for fun, just by myself. And I'll still get a guy on a call for a couple hours. So maybe I could just start working that into like my Sunday routine or something. You know. I could. Thoughts are happening. Things are thinkering. Could I? Let me think. No, I couldn't set it up during stream. There's a very specific program I would need. I would need a program that would act as virtual audio cables. From the Text Now application to OBS so you guys could hear it. Wouldn't be able to do it offhand. But it's theoretically possible. I think I've got an old virtual machine somewhere on here. If I just type it in my search bar. Yeah, I do. I do have a virtual machine. So it's theoretically possible. It's it's a maybe. It would be really fun. I would have a lot of fun with it. Cuz that kind of like improv humor is enjoyable to me. It's a skill that I have and that I want to work on a little bit more. Part of the reason for starting this channel was to work on it a little bit more. But also, as you guys can tell from how long I've been talking without pause, I can talk about anything for a long while, and I can just keep these guys on the phone, and I can just keep talking and talking and talking, and it just works, you know. I could just keep going and going and going. It would be fun. Honestly, well, actually, do I need OBS has changed a lot since the old days. Do I need that program? Maybe I'll work on it after stream. And I'll take a look and I'll see what I would need in order to set up for a scam bait. I've already put out the schedule for this week, and that's not changing. But it's possible. And it would be very cathartic for me on a personal level. Because I carry around a good bit of anger that I have trouble venting safely. And scam baiting could help me vent pretty darn safely. Which, I know, shock of all shocks, I have anger issues? Actually, that might be a surprise to some people. Some people are very surprised by that. Some people are like, oh, that's what it is. But you know what? I might do a few calls later, just by myself, just for fun. I think I've got. I'm not gonna open my email while I'm streaming, just in case. But I think I've got. Oh, yeah, I do actually. I have an old email account from when I was. I did a lot of scam baiting back when I was in college because I just had that much free time. I have an old email account that just accrues scam emails for me to use. So that could possibly, yeah, I probably have bunches of leads in there. Man, just to hit up some old refund scammers. Maybe some printer scams. If you guys have ever done a printer scam, you guys know how off the rails those can get. Bitcoin scams. Maybe a pig fattening romance scam. I could go for one of those. Actually helped a guy with a romance scam just the last month. A friend of mine who was getting some very questionable emails, and he got a little worried about it, so I was able to help him out with that. I got a Bitcoin wallet out of it that my friend sent me that the scammer was trying to use, and we got that one reported and shut down, so that was fun. Needed a little help with that because I'm not super familiar with the crypto scams because they just weren't part of my era. You know, crypto didn't exist back then. But you know, I still have the like support network to where if I need help with a scam, I know who to call. Man, it would be a lot of fun. I'm talking myself into it right now. It would be a heck of a lot of fun. Oh, and some publishers clearinghouse scams. I love a good publishers clearinghouse scam. Those are so silly. Oh my gosh, I could really go for one of those right now, actually. Superior entertainment is found within that. Oh man, just the whole thing. Okay. But yeah, nice little catch up stream. I wasn't planning to do anything too crazy today. I still have to go to the store because I have nothing in my fridge. I ate a large bowl of oatmeal, and that is the only thing I have consumed today. So I have to get to the store before the whole next of the week because I didn't want anything to rot in the fridge. So I made sure I cleaned out my fridge before I left, and now I'm back and my fridge is empty and I'm hungry. So I do have to get to that at some point. But that doesn't mean we can't do a little raid. A little raid. Let's see, who would we want to do a little raid on? We could raid Chai. She just unveiled a new model and she is great and I love Chai. We will raid Chai. Yes, it will let me. Okay. So we will all go say hi to Chai. She's great. You'll love her. So we'll do that. We'll do that now, and I'll see you guys on Monday. We'll be back to regular streams then. I know today was a little short. I really just meant to catch up with you guys, tell some stories, stuff like that. But yeah, we are back. Officially back. I'll see you guys on Monday. Tuesday, I mean to say. As we normally do. Schedule is up on the Twitter if you need it. But for now, let's also all go say hi to Chai.